Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Wassalatu wassalamu ala ashrafil mursalin. Sayyidina Muhammadin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa sallam taslima. Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina Muhammad al-Fatih al-Mawliqa wal khatimi lima sabaqa an-nas al-haq bil-haq wa hadi ila siratika mustaqim wa ala alihi wa qadrihi wa nizari al-azim. Ya Allah, Ya Allah, Ya Allah. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. We ask Allah's guidance and Allah's blessing in this short video, inshallah. So, wanted to provide some spiritual advice to seekers in the West, and it can be people who have reverted to Islam. It can be people who have gone into Tariqah in the West, or Muslims who might be younger and they are now waking up and want to learn about their deen. So, just some advice, inshallah. And as I give this advice, I remind myself of the same advice. Okay, so when I look at, experiencing, the traditional world, Gambia, Senegal, with the Sufi elders, and I sort of learn how I have learned Tasawwuf, and I compare with many of the things I see online, young Muslims going and debating about religion, online, Western Sufi groups, Western reverts, and the like. What I really see, where the major gap is very theoretical. In the West, Islam is very theoretical. In the West, Sufism is very theoretical, and Sufi versus Salafi is very, very theoretical. So it's very, very theoretical. In reality, this way is, if we look at the old Muslim world, like West Africa, but also North Africa, and also, the Arab world, in those places where you have more tasawwuf, is way more heart, way less thinking. It's more applied and much less, theoretical belief systems, believe this, believe that. And it's very much about peace. So, and then I sort of tell myself, this way is actually very simple, and it's very simple to have peace. You don't really need to do so much, and you don't need to study so much. It's much more about, being in harmony, which is Islam. Islam is peace. A Muslim is someone who has peace. So how can I transfer this simple, applied, wisdom-based way to a world that looks at everything so theoretically and studies so much different beliefs and compares and debates and argues and so on? So that's a little bit, the challenge I have, but I'm gonna try, inshallah, with the help of Allah. So because many of the Sufi teachings, we see them, they take another form when they go to the West. They sort of go away from their application, because all of the teachings that you see, every single Sufi teaching, doesn't matter if it's Sheikh Ibrahim Nias or any of the shuyukh, it has an application. Understand? It's lived in a certain way. It is practiced in a certain way, and I feel that the practice is often lacking in the West, and there's this tendency to take these teachings and reapply them in a kind of a new way, and it's like, no, that's not what it means. Then you see someone, it's quoting Rumi or something like that, and it's like, no, please, Billahi, that's not what it means. It's not supposed to be practiced like that. So there's this misunderstanding. It's very theoretical in the West, and the application, the wisdom is lacking. The simple solution to this is just to travel to one of the countries where you still have a tasawwuf, and sit with the elderly Sufis. Just sit with them. You're gonna experience what it is, and you're gonna see that it's much more simple and much more heart and much more about peace than it is about theory and metaphysics and this sort of thing. So, okay, some examples. We take this teaching on love. Okay, is there love in Tasawwuf? Yes, but love doesn't mean kind of, it doesn't mean Hollywood love or, you know, these romantic movies, I love you, or, you know, and you approach Allah in this way, oh my beloved Allah. That, no, that's not what it means. It's not wrong, it's just you can say misapplication. The love of the Sufi in practice is much more about a gratitude, to be grateful, shakur. You know, a sheikh gives you something, you're grateful because you realize how rare it is. You know how rare the teaching is and how much you have to actually travel to be able to get this teaching. So you get this sense of gratitude, thank you, and you become so grateful to Prophet Muhammad because Prophet was sent here by Allah to teach us how to pray. How would we know how to pray if it wouldn't be for Prophet? How would we have an authentic book of Allah today if it wasn't for Prophet and the tradition of Islam? So we are so grateful. There is this gratitude, that type of love. That's more the application of love in Tasawwuf versus this, you know, romantic. Then you also have this, the way of the heart. Is Sufi the way of the heart? Yes, absolutely, it is the way of the heart. But it is not the way of the heart the way people might think about it. I even have some Muslims, they talk to me in this kind of way that, you know, oh, I listen to this teaching, it resonates with me. Then I listen to that teaching, it resonates with me. Then it's like, yeah, well, but that's not what the way of the heart means. The way of the heart, that's more the carnal heart. the carnal, like nafs. That's not what the way of the heart means in the Sufi way. In the Sufi way, it's much more Allah guides. You can say irrational, not irrational in the, yeah, in a sense more irrational, the way of the heart. Like everything is from Allah, so things just happen the way they're supposed to happen, and when they happen, then they are meant to be. More organic, you can say, more organic way of the heart versus very categorical mind, sort of analyzed, it has to go in these steps. That's not really Tasawwuf. It's more organic, that way of the heart. Not, you know, I like this teaching, therefore this is true. I like that teaching, therefore it's true. Or I change the word I like to I resonate with this teaching, I resonate with that teaching. That's just nafs. I resonate with Coca-Cola. Coca-Cola is not good with me. I resonate with some politicians. That doesn't mean that the politician is teaching the truth. Like Sheikh Ibrahim Niass said, you know, sort of following the right path, that's hard. But following your ego, that's easy. You know, it's easy to follow what you resonate with. That's not, you know, the way of the Tasawwuf. So again, you see this difference between, you know, having very theoretical versus very applied. And another thing is this sort of Sufi versus Salafi. I sometimes feel, because you know Sufis, myself and many others, get attacked all the time by Salafis. So I respond in a self-defense towards them, and I sometimes feel that people they misunderstand the intention of that. They think that, you know, the Sufi versus Salafi, these are like two big churches, like the Catholic Church versus the Protestant Church, and like they are enemies, and you have to choose as a Muslim, are you Sufi or are you Salafi? That's not really, that again, that's a very theoretical, that's not really what it means. In reality, in the real world, it is more like, you know, Sufis are very revered in the Muslim world. They are revered. The Sufi masters become saints and adored by people. People love Sufis. You know, North African people love Sufis. Middle Eastern people from Syria, from Palestine, they love Sufis. West Africa, they love Sufis. People in the Muslim world tend to see Wahhabis like troublemakers. But Muslims are also, we are very pragmatic people, because Islam is very wisdom based. We also look at, okay, so how can we live in this Wahhabi world as peacefully as possible? So the practice becomes then, okay, well, if the Wahhabis are so, you know, spread with Saudi Arabian politics. Okay, then we should talk like this and do like this to get along with people. We should talk like this would create peace. We should talk like that to create peace. So they tend to be very pragmatic about it. So what does this mean in practice? So if I, for example, I go to a masjid, there will be Salafi and Wahhabi people there. I don't go excessively showing off that I'm a Sufi. I mean, I think that most Salafis actually probably know that I'm a Sufi, but I'm like, okay, I look at them, I'm respectful. I'm a little bit more, I'm a little bit more mindful about the form in my practice when there are many Salafis there, because I don't like to get corrected. Salafis have this kind of behavior. They tend to correct people in the masjid, which is quite awkward because everyone is doing according to their best, and sometimes people are not doing an error. You might think they're doing an error. So, but anyway, they have this, and that's very awkward, and it's kind of fitna creating. So I say to myself, okay, can I minimize this by doing as little noise of myself as possible? So I try to be a little bit like that, try to be respectful, and usually I don't have any problem with Salafi people like in real life. Online they all the time attack me, but not in real life. But even the elderly Wahhabis and Salafis, they kind of know that I'm a Sufi. But that it's like, okay, you respect me, I respect you. It's kind of that kind of relationship. So it's a little bit like this. But then Salafis, they can be very vocal if you group zikr or these kinds of. So it's not really that it's Sufi versus Salafi. It's more like the Sufis are revered in the Muslim world. The Wahhabis and Salafis are seen as troublemakers. But some of them are, scholars and all over the place. So Muslims are very pragmatic about it. Okay, how can we get along? Kind of like this. And Sufis don't really have so much money to spread this way all over the world. So, and many Sufi orders are also very pragmatic when it comes to the Wahhabis and Salafis, and look at it a little bit like this. Okay, are there any of our teachings that we can tone down to not make them pissed off? Okay, we can tone down some of the esoteric stuff and we can get along better. Many Muslims do like this, and many Sufis, particularly in the Tijani Tariqa, will tone down some of the teachings just to get along with people. So it's more like this. It's not really like, and all Salafis are not seen as troublemakers, but every Muslim knows those people in the masjid with, who are very, monitoring people. They are the Sharia police. Everyone knows the Sharia police, So it's more like this in practice. And also that brings us to a point of this issue with beliefs. So many people from the West, they will study Islam from a belief perspective, because this is how religion is taught in Western schools, and religions is actually a Western concept. So they come into Deen al-Islam from the perspective of, what should I believe? Okay, I'm a Muslim. What do Muslims believe now? And you don't know how many times online I get the question, what do Sufis believe about this? Or what do Sufis believe about that? And it's like, well, first of all, Islam altogether is not belief based in this way. Islam is applied. Is you live it. You practice Islam. Islam is deen. Deen is like one level of knowing lifestyle, how you live. So Islam is more of a culture. That's one way. And why is it important to know it's a lifestyle? Because in that lifestyle you can have Muslims that believe different things. Very important. Very important. And all the Muslims now who listening to this, who go to different channels and fight with Ahmadiyyas and Shias, listen to what I'm saying. Deen is not belief based in this sense. You have La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah, that's the Shahada. That's finished. You say the Shahada, you're a Muslim. Then there are different groups that believe different things in Islam. That doesn't mean that they are not Muslim. So Islam is not belief centered in this way. You understand? So, and that's very important, because that's how you get along in peace with each other, because you have groups that believe different things. Some groups might think that a certain person is a Mahdi. Other groups might not think that he's the Mahdi. Some groups might think that another person is a Mahdi. Then you have some groups that think of Mahdi a little bit more esoterically, like Mahdi is a station rather than an individual. So you can have these different groupings in Islam. That doesn't mean that you're not Muslim. You are Muslim, you just believe different things, okay? That's the same with the Sunni and Shia. You can have some different, and when you talk about beliefs in Islam, in reality it's more a scholarly sort of study of Aqidah or creed. Aqidah is the closest Arabic word you have to religion, is actually Aqidah. That's when you talk about beliefs. And yes, if you look at Salafism and Wahhabism from a perspective of Aqidah, you will see that they have certain beliefs. They believe certain things. They believe that this literal interpretation, for example, of the Quran. They don't like ijtihad. They don't like your own, you're adding wisdom to verses or something like that. They like strict kind of take the Quran as it is, which is based on Hanbali madhab, but and they think that Ibn Taymiyyah is a renewer of Islam. Many of Ibn Taymiyyah was actually a Qadriya Sufi, but that's a separate point. So they have certain beliefs, the important thing here is that in Islam you can have different groups that believe different things. Many Sufi groups are very big on ijtihad, for example, and they are very big on wisdom, hikmah, adding wisdom, and sort of applying the Sharia in not the modern sense, but more like, okay, I'm living like this right now. How do I minimize the evil in my life right now? So they have this more, you can say, Maliki Hanifi approach, a more Tasawwuf kind of approach. So you have different groups that believe different things. That doesn't mean that one group is Muslim and another is non-Muslim. So don't approach Islam or Tasawwuf from a perspective of beliefs. And people ask me, what do Sufis think about reincarnation? I don't know. Different people believe different things. That's the answer. Because Islam is not belief-based. Different people will believe different things. What about Wahdatul Wujud by Ibn Arabi? Same thing there. Different Sufis believe different things. Marifa, same thing in Marifa. Different Sufi groups teach Marifa differently. It is not, one belief in this sense, because it's not Christianity. So that's more the practice. And why is it important? Because you are who watches very likely a Muslim. If not a Muslim, you likely have some of your beliefs. You have right to believe what you believe, you understand? In our way, Tariqa Tijani, we are not allowed to even force beliefs on anyone. So believe what you want to believe, okay? Okay? But know that those are your beliefs. Other people may believe other things. That doesn't mean, so if you're going to be very sort of absolute about your beliefs and very stubborn about them, you will have a difficult time dealing with other people who might not believe exactly the same thing as you. A good example is, some say Sheikh Ibrahim Niasse is what Sheikh Ahmed Tijani meant by the faida, the flood. Other people in Tijani Tariqa view faida as more a spiritual thing. This spiritual sort of flood pouring when there are difficult times. Many people will pour into the Tariqa like a flood, more like a spiritual type of thing. So there can be many faidas in this sense. Others think faida is one person, Sheikh Ibrahim Niasse. That's the faida, and there's no doubt. There can be differences in belief. That's fine. That doesn't mean that one is right and one is wrong. It's fine. It's easy. Peace. Remember, this deen of Allah is peace, and the peace is the most important. I know what I believe. Someone can believe something else. Okay? And another also misunderstanding, inshallah. This might be the last one to avoid making this video too long, inshallah. I think if it's too long, people will not watch the video. Okay, alhamdulillah. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Is this issue with spiritual station? Okay, spiritual stations, so Maqaam. I see this so much in Western Sufi groups. They are so worried about the issue of Maqaam. What is a Maqaam? Who is what Maqaam? When am I in this Maqaam? Who is the Insan al-Kamil? Who is the Kutub? Who is the saint? He is a saint. He is not a saint. I am a saint. Look, Maqaam, this is very theoretical in the West. It's very, very theoretical in the West. Maqaam doesn't mean what people think it means. I actually talked to my sheikh about this thing with Maqam. He even doesn't want to teach Maqam to people who are not more experienced on the path. And then myself, I don't even like to go into, you know, Maqam, because the spiritual rank, because people, they talk about it too much and they misunderstand what it is, because they think they give themselves the Maqam, and that's not it. Is Allah that gives you your Maqam. So you have this awal wa akhir wa zahir wa batin, the union between the outer and the inner. Your Maqam, so this is okay. So this is how many people in the West might think Maqam is theoretically. I'm going to explain how they think about it theoretically, and more what Maqam is in reality when you practice as live Tasawwuf. Theoretically, it's a mystery. My Maqam is a mystery to me. It's like it's veiled, and I'm very misunderstood. I'm a deep knower of Allah, but deep within, and nobody knows this, and I'm very misunderstood. Kind of like a mystery that only the super enlightened beings know your Maqam. Kind of like this. This is kind of how I get the feeling in the West. So you can have these sort of very ecstatic statements where, you know, people do zikr, get into a deep state, and then they throw these intoxicated, you know, statements about their Maqam. That's kind of what Maqam is in the West. Now this is how it is in reality. You just need to go to like a zikr or a gathering of elder Sufis. Your Maqam will be right in front of your eyes. You want to know your Maqam, go and visit the ground chair, then you know your Maqam. Just go and sit with some elderly Sufis, and your Maqam will be given like this to you. They're gonna they will show you what your level, and they are gonna treat you according to your Maqam. So the Maqam is not really a mystery like this. I mean, if I would go to, you know, sit with the elders in Senegal, all of the elders know what I am. They can see right through me. You understand? They can see my heart. They can see roughly my deeds. They know my Maqam. So how they treat me is kind of, then my Maqam is given to me. It's not something that I have to worry about. I don't have to think about it or like speculate. It will be given, you know, in this kind of way. So because Allah is the one who gives you your Maqam, and what Allah gives you, always see this in a manifestation. So you know, so when it comes to, for example, there are many people who have, okay, we can take the Maqam of Prophet, Nabi. There are many people who have sort of, particularly today, who sort of claim prophethood, right? Well, their path lasted for like 30 years. What a big prophet you are. You taught something in India, and then your teachings lasted 30, 40, 50 years. Then after that they become forgotten. What kind of prophet are you? Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, he claimed to be prophet. But when the Maqam is real, 2 billion Muslims today, 1,400 years later, still read the Quran and believe it the word of Allah. You understand? When you are a prophet, you cite the Quran, and it is 1,400 years. 2 billion people. You see? Jesus, 2 billion people. These are real prophets. You understand? So the Maqam is, when it's from Allah, there's no doubt of it. But when it's imagination, then there is this sense of like, you know, no, he is really, really enlightened. He's just misunderstood, kind of like this. And also, you don't go to the sort of non-Muslim people for your Maqam. So if I go a lot on social media and talk about Sufism to people who don't know this way, and they, oh, I like this, that's not an evidence of your Maqam, because they don't know. You have to go to the people, the elder Sufis who actually know Tasawwuf, and who know how the nafs work, and have done Tazkiyat al-Nafs, transformation, tarbiyah, spiritual education. They will give you your Maqam. So and also just a few more notes on, you know, manners. You know, that the way is not to go and argue about teachings with people. So when I I will sometimes attack the Wahhabis and Salafis, and this is it's kind of semi-disliked. But the reason why I'm doing that is because it's in self-defense. They are attacking me. They are coming and, you know, trashing me all the time on social media. First, I didn't even want to talk about that entire thing. So that's why I am responding to that, and I have the right to do so according to Sharia. That doesn't mean that we are going to start, you know, creating fitna or, you know, going to the masjid and showing off or something like this. No, we try to take the path of least resistance and be peaceful people. That's more how it means in reality. So Sufis are not to walk around, you know, and debating about Ma'rifah and about esoteric Tawheed, La ilaha illallah, all is Allah, these kinds of things with people who don't understand. You're just creating fitna, and that's not the way of Tasawwuf. In practice, it's much more about, you know, actually just going to a masjid, and you can just be silent. Just be silent and enjoy the peace, and enjoy the company, and enjoy the prayer, and don't say anything. Even if you know more than everyone in the masjid, just be silent and you know, enjoy. You go to a zikr, just be silent. And if someone gives you an advice, you know way more than the person. You know what you can do? You can say, thank you for the advice, brother. Even if you know better, now you're showing some high manners. That's good adab. That's good adab. That's more, you know. Now we are talking about the Sufi people of, you know, softness, heart. You know, you know more than a person, and, you know, they say something to you. You say, thank you, brother, because you know he might know that very well. You understand? He might know that very, very well, and it might be Allah speaking to you through him. It might be Allah speaking through him. So be humble. So less theory, less ideas, less beliefs, less debating about religion, and more simple, more practice, live it, more experiencing, more take the path that leads to peace. That's more the true application of Tasawwuf. Hopefully this video is helpful. Assalamu alaikum.